This is the book of Exodus, chapter 20, verse 17. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. Brakata Yahweh, Brakata Yahweh Shai. Brakata Yahweh, Brakata Yahweh Shai. Yahweh is the name who the world ignorantly calls God, and Yahweh Shai is his son who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. First and foremost, I want to give all praises and all glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakak Radash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who grew well and taught us this truth. They are the true teachers for the nation of Israel on earth today. And citation to the Akim out there pushing this truth of sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth and risking their life for Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai's sake. I'm Brother Samak from the GMS Miami camp. And yes, the reason why I brought out the book of Exodus, chapter 20, verse 17, is that I'm going to title this lesson, Beware of Pocket Watching. Okay, or, as it says in the scriptures, thou shalt not covet. All right? Now, what inspired me to do this lesson is that the other day I was watching the Vlad TV Tekashi 6ix9ine interview, where Tekashi 6ix9ine used a phrase called pocket watching regarding this rapper from the South. What is it? Lil Boosie. Okay. According to what was discussed in that interview, Lil Boosie was upset that Vlad was paying Tekashi more, or paid Tekashi more than Lil Boosie. And 6ix9ine was like, yo, why is he pocket watching? He should be, glad to what he got. All right. And then, Vlad, that gutter rat, that JJ, that fraudulent fake, he's an imposter. He was like, look, I just knew that I was going to get more views with you, all right, than anybody else. And that's why 6ix9ine was paid what he was paid, because Vlad understood that everyone wanted to hear his story and that the views were going to go up, which was ultimately going to pay Vlad a lot of money for those views, all right? And I believe, through the spam power Yahweh Shemel Shai, the Lord is using a 6ix9ine story to expose how fake and fraudulent this rap hip-hop culture truly is, with these fake rappers, this notion that they uphold a street code, yet behind the scenes they're ratting on each other, snitching, and being informants to the federal government, So that's why I believe why the Lord is using this Ephraimite, 6ix9ine, to expose how fraudulent that hip-hop rap culture truly is. And it is. It's death. It's detrimental to our people, all right? And the Lord is doing away with that garbage music once and for all, because it's time. It's time. We're at the end. Everything has to be revealed, all right, so that the Lord can bring judgment and save his elect, which are going to be the Israelites, because that's the only one who can be saved, the elect of the nation of Israel, all right? But you're going to have 2/3 that are going to die. They want to hold on to that rap, hip-hop mindset, with that pocket-watching mindset, all right? Okay? And that's where I'm going, because this is an exhortation in general. You shouldn't be pocket watching what your neighbor has, okay? Especially if they're in the truth with you. You know what I'm saying? Because pocket watching is off. That's coveting, all right? That means you're breaking a commandment. And this is a commandment we can keep. Thou shalt not covet. We can keep that commandment, all right? So, again, this is a general exhortation. And I was inspired by that interview because, pocket watching is off. So beware of pocket watching. All right. Especially, we're coming into times that, yes, things are going to get tighter. Things are going to get more expensive. All right. And that's why you got to keep these scriptures in mind, because if you're looking at another brother's finances and how he's spending his money, while, okay, you yourself are upset that you can't do what he can do, all right, that's coveting, all right. All right. Hey, the Lord blesses brothers, okay, their portion. And that's just a fact, okay. And you should be content with your portion. In fact, let me bring out this scripture, and then I'm going to go into this pocket watching, because this reminded me of this scripture as well. Ecclesiasticus, also known as the book of Sirach, chapter 14, verse 9. A covetous man's eye is not satisfied with his portion. Right. You should be satisfied with your portion and not pocket watching when another brother has. Especially if the other brother that like, for example, if you're the treasurer of the camp pot, right? I'm just using that as an example. You know who's tithing. You know who's giving more, or who's able to give according to their ability. You know, so if you see that a brother's giving a certain amount, and it's more than you as the treasurer, or it's more than most of the brothers in that camp, okay, that doesn't give you the reasoning to be pocket watching and then all of a sudden start having, okay, covetous and questioning how a brother spends his money, you know, all right, because if he's tithing, all right, okay, and being charitable, you should be rejoicing and saying, hey, the Lord's blessing that brother, all right, Lord willing, I can tithe as much as that brother, you know, and the scriptures talk about the more you give, the more you receive, right? Which I'll get that next. But yeah, so Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus chapter 14, verse 9, a covetous man's eye is not satisfied with his portion, and the iniquity of the wicked drieth up his soul. Verse 10, a wicked eye envieth his bread, and he is a niggard at his table, right? Being stingy. You got individuals, okay, in this world, especially those the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American, okay, which are the true biblical Hebrew Israelites, that will be stingy in their own pocket, yet look at another man's pocket and say, why isn't he doing this with his money? Or why isn't he doing that with his money? You know, nasty work. But yet he's stingy in his own pocket. That's off, okay? But again, it goes back to that coveting, all right? That pocket watching, okay? And that's you're breaking the commandment when you do that, okay? Verse 11, my son, according to thy ability, do good to thyself. And that's the key right there, you know? You got a brother busting his ass, you know, he's working, and of course he's tithing, he's being charitable, okay, when he can be charitable. Outside of tithing, that's another thing, you know. You got individuals, okay, in this truth that not only are they tithing, okay, that is required, they're also even giving more, okay, outside what is required to tithe, okay. All right, so when that brother decides to do good to himself, like buy himself a new pair of sneakers, get himself a new car, maybe get himself a house, all right, you shouldn't be pocket watching, you shouldn't be envying, okay, or coveting what he has and what he should have been doing with that money, okay. My son, according to thy ability, do good to thyself and give the Lord his due offering, right? Because the brother is okay. If he's doing the right thing, of course he's got to be charitable. He's got to tithe, right? Because that's part of our culture. Okay, all right. So again, you got to be mindful of these things as things get tighter. Okay, as things get more expensive. All right. Okay, if a brother's doing what he's doing, there's no need to be pocket watching. Okay, why is he spending money on that? Okay, he could have spent his money on this. All right. Okay. Nah, that's not okay, right. Okay. And that again, that's coveting. You should be grateful for what you have. And again, okay, this leads me to this scripture right here in 2 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 6. But this I say, he which sows sparingly shall reap also sparingly. Right, so if you're giving less, then you're going to reap less. Okay, you're going to get less. Okay, all right. So that's why you again, okay, you have to keep these scriptures in mind. All right, and he which soweth bountifully shall reap also bountifully. Right. So if a brother's giving more because he has the ability to do, then the Lord's going to bless him more. Okay. And he's going to do good to thyself. Okay. Like buy a new pair of sneakers, maybe take his wife out to a nice fancy restaurant. Okay. Or some theme park. Right. Okay. Buy a new car because he was giving, okay, bountifully. All right. So now he's going to reap bountifully. All right. Now, if you read this in context, all right, Paul is speaking to the church of Macedonia, okay, because they volunteered to help out the believers in Jerusalem that were struggling. All right. So they were like, yo, we're willing to give. And so Paul is just reaffirming that, that they're going to willing to give, and just remind them, hey, the more you give, just know you're going to reap the same. Okay. And then that's why he said in 7, every man according as he proposeth in his heart. Right. Because you're supposed to do it because you want to do it, not because you have to do it. So let him give not grudgingly or of necessity, for God loveth a cheerful giver. Right. A cheerful giver. Okay. All right. And again, a cheerful giver, the Lord always looks out and always makes sure, all right, they receive more. Okay. Or they get, like the scriptures say, they reap also bountifully. NOT, you must each decide in your heart how much to give, and don't give reluctantly. Right. Reluctantly the word means in an unwilling or hesitant way, or in response to pressure. Right. That's another thing. All right, you don't give to respond to pressure. Okay, and that's the thing. If the Spirit's on you not to give, then it is what it is. Okay, that's why we have tithing as a cover, as a foundation. There's some times when it's just a brother's like, I don't have the Spirit to give. Okay, as much as I've been giving and I've been tithing. It's just what it is. So I'm not being pressured. Okay. All right, to give. I want to give cheerfully. I want to give it because I want to give, not because I have to give or I'm being pressured to give. Because, Jake good with the word, oh, things are tough, brother. Shit is hard out here, okay? And then you got brothers that will be busybody, okay, especially if they're not working as much, or, they're not working at all. They'll talk to one another and be like, yeah, that brother, he's got this and this and this. Do you think he's giving like he's supposed to? Do you think he's supposed to be giving more to that camp pot? All right. All right. Yeah, let's try to come up with a way to make them feel bad and try to pressure them to give more to that camp pot. Yeah, you start seeing brothers will start saying some weird things out of nowhere, like, whoa, where did this come from? All right, especially, okay, if a brother's been, the brothers that they're trying to convince to give more has been giving and has been charitable too, giving even more, okay, outside than they're supposed to give when it comes to tithing. All right. So again, you got to be mindful. Again, this is a general exhortation. All right. This ain't pointing fingers. This is just, okay, something to be mindful. And again, I was inspired by watching this Tekashi 6ix9ine because, bro, again, be grateful for what you got. You got something. All right. 8, and the Most High is able to make all grace abound toward you, that ye, always having all sufficiency in all things, may abound to every good work. Right. Let me go to NLT. And God and the Most High will generously provide all you need. Then you will always have everything you need and plenty left over to share with others. Right. Okay. Again. All right. If you give more, you're going to get more. Okay. And so you'll see how the Lord be blessed. If you're not giving as much, you're not going to get as much. Okay. All right. So yeah. So look at it that way. So you're not pocket watching. You're not freaking looking at another man's things, man. What he's spending his money on. How much he's bringing to the table. Okay. So let's read this. So what is pocket watching? It's slang for obsessively and intrusively monitoring someone else's finances, spending habits, or success. Right. And that's big amongst Israel. And that's something that needs to stop, man. Okay, this is a commandment we can keep. Thou shalt not covet. Usually born out of envy or judgment, and involves people scrutinizing what others buy or how much money they make instead of focusing on their own lives. Right? Instead of focusing on your life, instead of you got 2 hands, 2 feet, a brain. All right. So say you got a job and it's not paying you you think you should be paid. Then find another job. Or, okay, you like where you're working at because the way it's set up, all right, but you want more money, go find another job, okay? All right? So you're not having these thoughts in your mind and you're not being a busybody talking to somebody else, okay, about stuff like this, being a pocket watcher, okay? The term pocket watch is often used in internet culture, the workplace, and social media to describe anyone who is unnecessarily nosy about another person's income or lifestyle. That's the key point, lifestyle, Looking at a brother bought himself brand new sneakers. All right, he wanted to do good to himself. You got brothers and mean mugging, bitter. Why he buy himself new sneakers, man? All right, he could have took that money, gave it to the camp pot. He could have took that money, all right, and gave it to me. I'm struggling out here. Why he bought himself new sneakers? Whoa, 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 whoa. First of all right, we have order. So if you are catching financial issues, okay, this is where you go to the heads of your camp, all right, and you talk to them, okay, and saying, hey, you need to go into the camp pot because something came up. Now, when it becomes, if you feel that I don't want to go to the camp pot because you're always in some type of financial troubles, then that's a personal problem, and you need to figure out how to make more money. Again, get a better job, get a second job, all right? But there's order to this. If you're having financial troubles, you go to the leadership. That's why the treasury's there, so forth and so on. Okay. I want to bring this out too, because when people are not working and grinding, okay, like they're supposed to be, especially if you're a young man in this truth, okay, if you're under 40, you're still a young man, okay, even in 40, I gotta get that mindset out of my mind, because I'm like, yeah, I'm about to push 40, yeah, I'm getting old, but I'm not, okay, and I get inspired when I see particular brothers that are in their 40s, like the Chicago camp, they're into particular martial arts, and certain the body, they're up in their 40s and 50s, and they're moving, they're running, and they got youth in them, and I'm like, nah, I'm not getting old, all right? I'm not, in terms of this flesh, all right? This a mindset. Let me move, let me grind, all right? Because we're all young men at the end of the day. That's the point. So there's no reasoning that you can't be getting up early in the morning and getting on the grind, all right, to get what you can for your house and yourself, so you're not pocket watching and being a busybody. 1 Timothy chapter 5 verse I'm going to start at 8. But if any provide not for his own, and especially for those of his own house, he hath denied the faith and is worse than an infidel, meaning not to be trusted, okay, and an unbeliever, okay? That's why those that oversee the treasury, okay, that's a big job, because integrity goes a long way, man, all right? And when you, okay, are put in a situation as a treasury, all right, you want to make sure that the money you're bringing in is done because you're bringing in from the labor you're putting in, and you're not going into that treasury, okay, all the time, all right, to provide for yourself and your household. That's why those over the treasury, that's a heavy responsibility, and the Lord is watching, because if you're constantly going into that treasury, okay, all right, always needing to go in there instead of getting on the grind, providing for yourself, okay, and for your household, all right, then you're going to start looking at another man's pocket, watching like, damn, because you you see who's bringing in the funds, okay? And you start saying like, oh, okay, well, they're going to bring in this amount, so I can take this amount, okay? And that's off, all right? That's why those that are in the treasury, okay? Those that are in the treasury, that's a big responsibility. And the Lord be watching everything that you do with that treasury, okay? When nobody's looking. Because like at the end of the day, this is an integrity. Our culture is based on integrity, all right? Remember Judas? He was known as a thief. Did you hear Yahushua and the apostles start cursing him out? You thief, get the hell away from him. No, okay, all right. Let me show you something. I'm gonna have to put Jesus, because did Jesus know Judas was a thief? And that's not his name, but I have to bring this out just for clarity. Yes, according to the God, Jesus was fully aware that Judas Iscariot was a thief. As the treasurer of Yahushua ministry, you see that? This is spiritual, man. Judas carried the communal money bag and regularly embezzled funds, right? Taking from the treasury, all right, for his own, okay, reasonings, his own ambitions, all right? Okay? He embezzled it, okay? Just taking it, doing, okay, instead of grinding and providing for himself. You know, the Bible explicitly points this out, such as the Gospel of John, where it says that Judas did not care for the poor, but rather used to steal from what was put in the money box, right? Okay? So if you're over the treasury and you're not thinking about another brother, that, hey, I got to keep this in here because whatever brother falls on his face, okay? Right? Okay? And then you're looking at what a brother gives as tithing, your pocket watch. Okay, that brother's going to give that amount. All right. So this brother always gives this amount every week. All right. So this amount is coming here. I could take a little bit. No one's going to know. Okay. And you're stealing. You're embezzling. All right. And that's a no-no. Okay. Pocket watching. It goes back to pocket watching, coveting. All right. It all goes back to pocket watching and coveting. It all goes back to coveting. Because why are you taking that money? All right. You don't have the means to take care of yourself and your household. You don't have the ability to find 2 jobs, okay, or find a better job that pays more, right? What are you saying? You're saying that the Lord ain't dealing with you. You're saying that you're inept. Nah, man. I hear a lot of excuses. Okay, a lot of excuses. That's what it sounds like to me. It's just a figure of speech. I'm just hearing a lot of excuses. All right. So yeah, jumping down. So what does that breed when you're not grinding for your own household and you're doing pocket watching, you're doing shit like that? 13, jumping down to 13. And withal they learn to be idle, wandering from house to house, not only idle, but tattlers, and also busybodies, speaking things which they ought not. Right. Going to another brother. Yo, you see what that brother, yeah, that brother's got his shoes always clean, man. He's got that nice watch, he's got a new car. You think that brother's giving, okay, to the camp pot like he should, all right? Or you think that brother, okay, isn't giving like he should, all right? You think that brother's, what's it called? Holding out? Yeah. Okay, pocket watching, okay? Okay, looking at what brothers are spending their money on and having evil thoughts. Is he holding out? Is he not giving? Okay? Instead of like, yo, the Lord is blessing that brother. Okay? The Lord is looking out for that brother. Okay? So, yeah. And then, yeah, here's another one. And again, Timothy was the overseeing the church of Ephesus. So he was having to deal, all right, with these situations. Okay? With this type of stuff. All right? And so was the church of Thessalonica. Same thing. Okay? Or Thessalonia, which is the church of Thessalonica. The same situation. So this is common amongst Israel, that pocket watching, all right, not working with their own hands and looking at what another man, okay, makes and what he brings to his table. 2 Thessalonians chapter 3, verse 11. For we hear that there are some which walk among you disorderly, working not at all, but are busybodies. Right? You got individuals that are not working at all right, but being busybody, looking at what another man has on his plate. 12. Now them that are such we command and exhort by our Lord Yahweh Shai Mashiach, that with quietness they work and eat their own bread. Right, you're supposed to be grinding. Okay. 13. But ye, brethren, be not weary in well doing. Okay. 14. And if any man obey not our word by this epistle, note that man, have no company with him, that he may be ashamed. Right. Okay. So yeah, that's why, again, this is an exhortation. This is just a generalization. But hey, this, whoever's watching it, if you're moving like this, you got to stop, man. All right. 15. Yet count him not as an enemy, right, but admonish him as a brother. Right. You got to warn them. This is a warning. Admonish him. Beware of pocket watching. Okay. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, shit happens, man. Things get tight. You start seeing, well, that brother's doing good. Why am I not doing as well? Then you start having evil suspicions. Is he holding out? Why isn't he doing this with his money? And it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Have you not seen what this brother's been doing? His works, okay? All right, especially those that are overseeing the treasury. They know who's tithing and who's not, okay? Right? Or who's tithing more than, okay, than another brother, right? Okay? They know who's giving more than another brother, right? Okay? So, and I'll close off with this one, because at the end of the day, you got to be content with what you have and not be greedy and covetousness and pocket watching and over someone else's substance or what they're bringing, all right, to their house. Hebrews chapter 13, verse 5. Let your conversation be without covetousness. Again, talking to another brother about another brother's pockets. Pocket watching. Cut that shit out. And be content with such things as he hath, for he hath said, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. Right. And if you believe the Lord is dealing with you, okay, get on your grind, man. He going to provide. And again, hey, like what Paul told the church of Macedonia, yo, the more you tithe, the more you're going to be blessed. Okay? All right? The more you give, the more you're going to be blessed. It's just a fact. All right? So that should inspire brothers like, yo, hey, I got to get on my grind because I know the Lord going to look out. All right? I know the Lord going to bless me even more, So Lord willing, this lesson is edifying. Again, beware of pocket watching, aka thou shalt not covet. And again, the reason why I was inspired to do this lesson one more time was that Takashi used this phrase, and it's inspired me to do a lesson because why should you care what someone else is bringing to the table? Just be grateful what you have and be inspired, and be like, yo, okay, the Lord blessing, let me get on my grind. Okay, and the Lord gonna bless me just like my brother. You know what I'm saying? So, Lord willing, this lesson edifying. I want to give all praise and all glory to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai B'Shem Makakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who grew well and taught us this truth. They are the true teachers for the nation of Israel on earth today. And citation to the Akim out there pushing this truth and sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth and risking their life for Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai's sake. Love you, brothers. Keep it there. Keep the faith. Keep pushing. Keep fighting. Keep studying. Pray without ceasing. Pray for each other. Pray for the apostle elders. We're almost out of here. So the few sisters that are watching, keep studying. When you pray, Chad, cover. Shalom. On to the next one. As the apostle elders always say, Shalom.